Hello, hockey fans of all ages, shapes, and sizes. Looks like we're just getting warmed up here with the whole Chicago Blackhawks transparency organization. Um, I just want to say, first of all, I respect Chicago's position on this. They're making the right steps to right the ship, I guess, and at least by saying nothing. I guess the sort of projecting gaslighting a little bit of like this has nothing to do with, players or their families. So that if that turns out to be true in any way, shame on the entire organization, et cetera, et cetera. But I guess for now, we believe Kyle Davidson at face value. I want to talk about censorship today, and I have a serious problem with mainstream media because I've dealt with this shit for the last 3 or 4 years in Canada. The excessive gaslighting, projecting, lying, social media and podcasts, the truth will set you free. They're the truth serum to liars, projectors, and gaslighters. So I want to say this because now I'm very familiar. If you're not familiar with this kind of stuff and you don't become unwoke and unplug yourself from the matrix, and I want to do a big shout out to Mr. Sean Avery. I've talked about him before. Like I couldn't stand him as a player, but he was kind of one of those, gritty guys that would get in the goalie's face and stuff. And as a teammate, you love him, right? So I compared him to like a Marchand or, those kind of, like even the specimen question, Mr. Perry, sort of like air quote rats of the league or whatever. They don't care what people think of them. They want to win, and their reputation is not made by other people, etc. I posted kind of a funny clip on the whole Bedard's mom thing. Like, yeah, it's crude, whatever, but I just want to say this because I can recognize this bullshit now that there's two lanes, okay? And I've already said this. I'm going to reiterate what I said because this is censorship in a nutshell, right? When you feel like you can't control the narrative and you start running cover and playing white knight for Bedard and his family and stuff, when you and a lot of you know who the fuck I'm talking about, have no idea what's going on either, and you start coming after podcasters like one network guy on the right. Oh, you dude in his basement creating a podcast. It's like, who believes this idiot or whatever. It's like, okay, I want to tell you a little story about a guy who's very successful named Mark Benioff, who started Salesforce.com. And when you are in a position of power, you don't talk about your competition. And I read this guy's book. The guy's a genius. And PeopleSoft and SAP were the biggest players. And SAP is close to the heart because it's San Jose Sharks. And they still did well. But Salesforce.com was created because they went to rallies around political things and whatever. And then the second that PeopleSoft or whoever, Siebel Systems or whatever, recognized Salesforce and said, yeah, these guys are nothing, their opinions don't matter, they've lost the narrative. So I want to say to the mainstream people out there who sit in a chair, I will say, a lot of people respect the seat that you sit in, but not you yourself. So be very careful. You got guys like Joe Rogan and, other podcasters who, like, a lot of mainstream people talk crap about them. But this is where pop culture and society goes. It always, and I want to do another shout out to Shorzy, the show, because it's ironic, it's very intense and vulgar, and a lot of people elitists or whatever will turn up their nose at it and say, oh, this is just vulgar. You know what they called commoners in the Roman Empire? They called them vulgar, because they're like, oh, your voice is disgusting. We don't want to hear it. And this is what censorship is based on. And this is the cornerstone of my entire vlog today, is around censorship, because I've witnessed it firsthand. When certain people lose the narrative and they can't control the narrative anymore and gaslight and project and tell you lies all the time, constantly, and people are like, what the F is going on? None of this makes sense. There's some truth in this horse crap that is in the Blackhawks. Like, if they had have came out and said, like, obviously they're burying Corey Perry with this whole thing, and they don't, I think as an organization, they don't want to be the ones to say, like, if this happened, like, at this point, what they've done is very clear that there was like some kind of sexual incident or what. Like, I can say that with probably 60, 70, 80% circumstance right now, that, you know, maybe like there's some beautiful women who are security guards or like aisle hostesses, you know, like concession babe or whatever, you know, is pouring beers after, you know, like with the guys. Like, I work in an arena. I know you have extra access, right? So obviously we sign, like I said, sort of celebrity waivers. You just, it's basically a be cool clause. Like, don't be a jerk, you know, be nice, be kind, be a good person. So I take it very personally when mainstream media sits on their high horse and they start attacking podcasters and building a reputation of like, you're a conspiracy theorist, which was a CIA invention, you know, after the JFK assassination. Like, you know, when you're covering something up and there's this level of like lies, gaslighting, projecting, you know, there's some truth in between the lines of it all. It's just, it's so obvious. And social media is the truth serum. And like, you can't mass censor everybody's opinion. It's a free goddamn country. Like, you can say whatever the hell you want. So I want to say this with all due respect to some people I really admire, you know, like Honor and Hetty and Ruzi and all these guys in the Sharks, and, you know, Baker and some of these old, like, other OG guys that are like consummate professionals, and they, you know, they talk about facts and they do commentary and they're excited and they're passionate and they bring a great effort, like an A+ effort every night for their team, even if the Sharks are in the basement. I want to say that there's a big difference in the commentary of, like, when you get into like the Theo Vaughns and all these other guys who are like commentators / comedians. It's humor, it's fun. It's like, where are we such grouches in society now that we have to mass censorship? We have to, like, you know, run cover for organizations that are, you know, like, why? Like, I think the Blackhawks are doing Bedard dirty right now by not just coming out and saying, like, yeah, like, there was a hot security staff and Corey Perry's going to get a divorce. Like, this is pure speculation. It's not fact. And I want to say that the people who are calling podcasters disgusting or whatever, vulgar, you commoners, you're not allowed to have a voice. Well, fuck you. You know, like, get off your high horse and your elitist bullshit and, you know, go to my story about Mark Benioff and, you know, his story of the second that you're noticed. And I equate podcasters versus mainstream media as the same thing. Like, podcasters are Salesforce.com. So the second that they recognize you and put you in the conversation, you've won. So at this point, social media has won. Like, raise your white flag, get off your horse, put down your sword, stop attacking podcasters and conspiracy theorists, people in their basement. Like, you're doing everything to shut down the argument by projecting and gaslighting and trying to attack the person and not the content or the argument. And I'll say this about the content: it's irresistible content. And you, who know who you are, who are doing podcasts, sort of mainstream podcasts, sponsors, all this stuff, and you're still attacking your competition, aka other podcasters, and being on your high horse. You can't resist this content, just like podcasters and social media can't resist. It's irresistible information. You got like a once in a generation for probably the next 20 years superstar. There's rumors going around. I would say it's probably false. Like, my gut says it was Perry has fooled around with a staff, like somebody in the staff, the way that Davidson almost started crying. Like, I don't even want to say this, but I have to say it, like his wife or whatever. Like, I hope it's not that, because that would destroy somebody. And I think, if Perry's fooling around with a single woman, it's, obviously his wife is going to be ashamed and divorce him. Look for these things coming up here. Does Perry file a countersuit or grievance in the next 60 days? Does he sign on another team that would say there's some truth to, like, there was foul play on his part? I would say, like, how bad does he fight back, right? And then it goes to the fences, right, with lawyers and all this other stuff. So I wanted to share that story. The book is called Behind the Cloud, and I loved reading it from Mark Benioff, and they were kind of hitting golf balls down the, like they were talking about putting and stuff in their skinny little office and hitting golf balls and stuff, and, just being a crazy startup. And the second that they got noticed, and I've seen, friends and other podcasters get kind of canceled by, in the political realm. And these politicians will lie and gaslight and whatever. And these podcasters are telling the truth. So this is why podcasters will win in the end. Pop culture, aka Shoresy, it's vulgar, it's for the commoner. And I think as a society, put down your sword, stop attacking other podcasters. If you don't want to touch it, the content and whatever, as a reporter, you're being a journalist and you're only reporting on facts. The second that you start attacking other people makes you ridiculous and incredulous, and you lack credibility altogether. So put down your swords, raise the white flag. Do not talk about stuff that's outside your core competence. And there's room for both of us. And this is the problem with mainstream media. It's like, if they want to mass censor all podcasts and things like this because they've lost control of the narrative, start telling the goddamn truth. Peace.